The noble concubine challenges my status as the wife daily. But I simply don't care. If she wants the management rights, give them to her. If she wants the favor of the master, let her have it. If she even wants the position of the primary wife, give that to her too. I'm perfectly happy enjoying my own wealth and luxuries. It couldn't be better. Life is truly comfortable, but her biggest mistake was doing that while I was away at the temple. My husband, Di-yun, is the war god of the great Xia kingdom. He has never lost a battle. He sends the Xiongnu fleeing in utter terror. What young girl wouldn't fall for such a heroic young general? I was once no exception. I was full of joy. But on our wedding day, he didn't come to collect the bride. He didn't even perform the bowing ceremony with me. He made me the biggest laughingstock in the capital. I whipped off my red bridal veil, tossing it carelessly to the floor. A wedding day without a groom. This veil is useless. The guests stared at my stunning beauty, whispering and murmuring to one another. They seemed shocked that I would abandon propriety and shame to show my face in public like this. I remained composed and confident. My cold, sharp gaze swept over the guests. I smiled and toasted with them, acting as if I were the groom myself. Seeing that I was completely unfazed, the guests smiled and praised Miss Yun, no, Madame Shin, saying she was truly the Grand Tutor's daughter. Only she could remain so calm in such a situation. On the surface, they admired me. But in truth, they were all waiting to see me fail. I turned and returned to my bridal chamber. My mother, having heard the news, sent people to bring me home. My mother's head maid looked at me with pity. Eldest miss, the Marquis of Jinbei is not a man. How could he insult you like this? The madam has sent me to take you home. You don't have to endure this grievance. I was moved. My mother had doted on me since I was a child. She couldn't bear to see me suffer even a little bit. But the daughter she cherished so dearly was ruthlessly abandoned by her husband on her wedding day. This was throwing the Yun family's reputation to the ground and trampling on it. While my mother pitied me, I had to consider the Yun family's position. This was an imperial marriage. If I left now, the emperor would surely turn his wrath on the Yun family. My father was the Grand Tutor. He often countered the emperor in court. The emperor had disliked my father for a long time. He wouldn't miss a chance to throw the Yuns into prison. Defying an imperial decree is a crime punishable by exterminating 9 generations. Suddenly, I understood. The old emperor deliberately arranged this marriage between me and the Marquis. He might have been waiting for this exact day. Why would I hand him the leverage on a silver platter? Why let him attack my family? I took a hairpin from the jewelry box and placed it in the head maid's hand. I smiled and comforted her. Go back and tell mother that I will live very well here. Tell her not to worry. I am, after all, my father's daughter. The maid seemed convinced. She instructed my dowry maids to take good care of me and then departed. I looked at the room full of red silk. I calmly removed my hair ornaments, took off my wedding gown, and swept the peanuts and longans off the bed. I brushed them all to the floor. Then I climbed into bed, ready to sleep. If anyone expected me to wait obediently for the groom, they were mistaken. Nanny Lee of the Marquis' estate pushed open the door. Seeing me lying there with messy hair, her face instantly turned cold. She stomped over. Madam, you are a well-bred lady from a noble family. How can you act so indecorously? You should be wearing your veil. Sitting dignified at the edge of the bed, waiting for the Marquis to return. Not this. My husband had already shamed me. And now even the servants dared to scold me. I slowly sat up, coldly cutting off Nanny Lee's lecture. Shut up. How dare a mere servant show me such disrespect? Are there no rules in this household? Check your place. Seeing my fury, her arrogance weakened slightly. But she still couldn't help saying, I am the Marquis' wet nurse. I raised him with my own milk. The Marquis has always respected me. I am only speaking for the madam's own good. Word of the madam's behavior might not be pleasant if it got out. An old nanny dared to pull rank in front of me. My anger flared. I grabbed a longan that hadn't been swept away and threw it hard at Nanny Lee. Shinsen abandoned me on our wedding day. God knows where he is fooling around. How is his reputation any better than mine? You raised him, not me. How dare you lecture me? The longan hit Nanny Lee right in the face. She lowered her head, though she still tried to defend the Marquis. This servant wouldn't dare. The Marquis is not fooling around. I hope the madam will be careful with her words. I kept my expression cold, letting my authority show. I am the legitimate daughter of the Grand Tutor. This marriage was an imperial decree. From now on, I am the mistress of the Shin family. You are but a servant. If you disrespect me again, I have every right to sell you off. Terrified, she collapsed to her knees, trembling all over. She cat out and cried. Madam, please spare me. This old servant overstepped her bounds. Madam, please spare me. I will never do it again. The Marquis of Jinbei, Shinsun, pushed open the door and walked into this very scene. With a cold face, he strode over to Nanny Lee and pulled her up. Now that she had her protector, Nanny Lee felt emboldened, yet she didn't dare say another word. She seemed genuinely frightened by what I had just said. She retreated timidly, Soon, only Shinsun and I were left in the room. Shinsun wore a black silk robe. He was handsome. Appearing quite the gentleman on the outside, he walked to the edge of the bed and looked down at me. His handsome face was covered in frost. His tone unfriendly. How dare you treat my nanny like that? I didn't like him looking down on me. I lazily stood up on the bed. Now it was my turn to look down on Shinsun. My voice was full of contempt. She insulted me. It wouldn't be too much even if I had her beaten to death. Is the Marquis planning to hit me for the sake of a servant? Shinsun's brow furrowed. But he didn't speak up for Nanny Lee anymore. His cold gaze swept over me. And he said coldly, you, a lady from a noble family. With your hair a mess. And your clothes disheveled. What kind of behavior is this? I laughed until my sides hurt. Then I said sarcastically. And you're supposed to be a war god? Ha ha ha. Abandoning your bride on the wedding day. It seems you really weren't raised properly. You have no sense of decorum at all. Shut up. I will not allow you to insult my parents. Ha ha ha, I'm not insulting them. I'm insulting you. Why don't you divorce me if you're so capable? Of course, defying an imperial decree is a crime that would doom your entire clan. But oh, I forgot, you're the only one left in your family. If you divorce me, only you will die. Seems like a fair deal. If I am divorced, I'll be seen as the victim. The emperor wouldn't be able to punish the Yun family. He'd have to offer me his sympathies. I looked at Shinsun with anticipation, hoping he'd be brave enough to do it. What young girl's romantic dreams? To hell with all that. This young lady is not sticking around for this. As for my reputation after a divorce, I didn't care at all. Could it possibly be worse than it is now? Shinsun's face turned livid with rage. But he didn't dare to actually divorce me. He coldly dropped one sentence, I won't touch you. Then he turned and left decisively. I didn't even give him a second glance. I ate the midnight snack my maid brought in, took a nice bath, and went to sleep in a good mood. The next day, Shinsun and I went to the palace to give thanks. Even if we were unhappy with this marriage, we had to thank the emperor for arranging it. Ironic, isn't it? When the emperor saw us, he smiled and praised us as a handsome couple, a match made in heaven. Finally, he bestowed a pile of gifts upon us. I kept a smile on my face, politely thanking him for the marriage. On the way back, I sat in the corner of the carriage, as far away from Shinsun as possible. I didn't want to deal with him at all. Seeing my blatant disdain for him, Shinsun seemed somewhat displeased, but he didn't say much. Only when we entered the Marquis' estate did he speak up. I already have someone in my heart. She should have been the mistress of the Shin household. But you took her place. I feel I have wronged her. I will take her as a noble concubine. I hope you won't be jealous in the future and make things difficult for her. Hearing this, I rolled my eyes quite indelicately. Then I smiled gently. First of all, you need to understand that I didn't take this marriage. Do you really think I wanted to marry you? Secondly, take as many noble concubines as you like. Lastly, I won't be jealous. I didn't bother with him anymore, and walked away with a leisurely pace. I woke up too early today. I'm going back to sleep. I slept until noon. I held my little orange cat, Susu, whom I brought from my family home. I lazily enjoyed the scenery in the pavilion. One maid massaged my shoulders. Another massaged my legs. One fanned me. And another fed me treats. The butler had already handed over the keys to the household. I casually flipped through the account books. When I saw only 10,000 taels left in the accounts, I couldn't help but laugh. Luckily, I don't rely on the Marquis to support me, or I'd starve to death. I tossed the books aside carelessly and continued petting my cat. I was perfectly content. But all this was ruined by Shinsun. He approached me with a cold face, seeming very unhappy that I was living so comfortably. Good. If he's unhappy, then I'm even happier. Shinsun sat down beside me. I will hand over the management of the household to my beloved. You don't need to worry about anything in the estate. Smiling, I pushed the pile of account books toward him. Take them all. Don't leave them here to annoy me. Even without managing the house, my status is untouchable. My confidence comes from my family. I didn't want to deal with the Marquis' messy accounts anyway. With such little money, how could the household even function? Managing it would mean using my own dowry to subsidize them. And I'd still get criticized for it. It's a thankless task. Now that someone else wants to do it, I'm more than happy. Shinsun left with the account books and the management tablet. That evening, after I had finished my dinner, a woman dressed flamboyantly, with her head covered in ornaments, came to pay her respects. This was Shinsun's noble concubine, Wanqing. I waved my hand indifferently and simply told her to sit. Wanqing gave me a grateful smile, followed by a face full of guilt. Sister, I actually feel quite bad for you. Last night was your wedding night with the Marquis. But the Marquis insisted on staying in my room. I tried to send him away, but he refused to leave. I'm so sorry, sister. I knew this concubine didn't come here to be polite. She came to flaunt her favor. My mother only has one daughter. I don't have a younger sister who is a concubine. You shall address me as madam from now on. Wan Qing froze for a moment. She probably didn't expect that I wouldn't get angry as she wanted. She bit her lip. In reality, one needs the husband's favor to live well. I saw Wan Qing's eyes turn red, acting as if I had insulted her. I leisurely brewed some tea and sipped it. The tea leaves from home really do taste better. Madam, I didn't mean to take the management power from you. The Marquis gave it to me himself. He wouldn't let me refuse. I hope the madam won't be angry with the Marquis. I looked at Wan Qing calmly. Without saying a word, I stared until she became flustered. After a long while, I finally said, "Oh. You mean those management rights? I didn't want them. So he gave them to you." Wan Qing's tears fell instantly. She looked like a delicate, weeping flower, pitiful and tragic. Shensen heard that Wan Qing had come to my courtyard and rushed over. Seeing her crying so piteously, his expression changed immediately. He barked at me with a cold face. "Why are you so narrow-minded? Why must you bully Qinger? What did she do wrong?" He scolded me relentlessly. I couldn't stand it anymore. I slammed the teacup down on the table, splashing tea all over Shensen. "Shensen, not only are your eyes blind, but your heart is as well. Get out with your concubine. From now on, she doesn't need to pay me respects." Shensen snorted coldly, picked Wan Qing up in his arms, and turned to leave. I looked up and saw Wan Qing give me a triumphant, mocking smile. It was as if she was saying, "So what if you're the official wife? The Marquis loves me. I don't love Shensen anyway. Whoever he dotes on has nothing to do with me." I went back to petting my cat. I also started raising a few small fish. It's not that I didn't hear the gossip outside. I just chose to ignore it. On the third day after the wedding, for the return visit to my family, I planned to go back alone. Just as I got into the carriage, Shensen followed me in. I instinctively moved away from him. "What are you doing here?" "I'm going back with you. I was wrong on the wedding day. I didn't abandon you on purpose. Qinger was sick, and I needed to take care of her." I raised my hand to cut him off. "You don't need to tell me all this." Shensen shut his mouth. After a while, he changed the subject. "I'm coming with you. So the emperor doesn't think I'm dissatisfied with the marriage." Oh, so Shensen is also afraid of the emperor's wrath. That's why he had to accompany me today. I closed my eyes, not wanting to hear his nonsense. Shensen rambled on for a bit, but seeing no reaction from me, he eventually stopped. When I arrived home, I threw myself into my mother's warm embrace with joy. I snuggled against her affectionately. Holding her waist, I acted like a spoiled child. "Mother, I missed you so much." My mother held me gently. "My child has suffered." No one acknowledged Shensen. Shensen followed silently behind me, and I didn't pay him any attention either. After lunch, my father gave Shensen a severe scolding. Shensen didn't say a word in defense. Finally, he said, "I will take good care of Qinger. My full name is Yun Jinrong. I like my name very much." But hearing Shensen say it made me feel as though I had swallowed a fly. I stayed with my parents for half a day before I had to leave again. Before we left, my parents packed all sorts of things for me. Everything I liked was there. I was loath to part with them. My mother said softly, "Silly child. Come home whenever you miss us." Once inside the carriage, my mood sank. I lifted the curtain and saw my parents still standing there, watching me go. My tears finally broke through. I covered my face with my hands, tears flowing through my fingers. "Don't cry." Shensen's voice sounded in my ear. I instantly snapped back to my senses and calmly wiped away my tears. I looked up and saw Shensen sitting very close to me. He held a handkerchief out to me. I moved back to increase the distance between us. "Don't come near me. I find it disgusting." Shensen's hand froze in midair. He looked at me for a few moments, then withdrew his hand. Back at the Marquis' estate, I stepped out of the carriage and saw Wan Qing waiting at the gate. Shensen followed me down. Wan Qing took 2 steps forward, stumbled, and predictably fell into Shensen's arms. She leaned against him and gave me a boastful smile. My eyes were indifferent. Only a lowly concubine would resort to such stunts for attention. I didn't even look at Shensen, and walked away coldly. For several days, I didn't see Shensen or his noble concubine. She didn't come to pay her respects, and my mood was great. Living like this forever wouldn't be bad. No worries about food or clothes. A month later, Shensen came to me. His tone was matter of fact. "My beloved is pregnant. You are the mistress of the Shen family. From now on, his lifestyle and allowance should be the same as yours. You are not to use your status to bully her." Hearing this, my face instantly turned cold. I let my full authority show. "I am the Grand Tutor's daughter. Everything I eat and use belongs to the Yun family. What does that have to do with you? Can this dilapidated estate of yours even afford to support your so-called noble concubine? The household management is in your concubine's hands. She can eat whatever she wants. She could eat the whole estate dry for all I care. You married into this estate. Do your food and clothes not come from the Marquis estate? Don't bring your family into this. Although the management is in Chinger's hands, she follows the rules strictly. She only takes the allowance due to a concubine. She doesn't want to be equal to you, fearing she'd undermine your status. But I cannot bear to see her suffer. That's why I came to tell you, only with your consent. Can she focus on her pregnancy in peace? Don't always take your anger out on her. When did I ever bully her? Is that what she told you? I looked at Shinsun's cold, sharp face, with a calm gaze. If I am provoked again, even my good temper will have its limits. Shinsun sat down beside me and poured himself a cup of tea. She didn't speak ill of you. I saw it all with my own eyes. Then you really are blind. I threw the half-eaten fruit in my hand, right at Shinsun's face. Go check your messy account books and see how much money is left before you talk to me. She wants the mistress's allowance, doesn't she? I agree. I only hope she can handle it. Let me emphasize this again. I use my own dowry. I haven't eaten a single grain of your estate's rice. My parents adore me. Gave me a massive dowry. Dozens of shops in the capital. Thousands of acres of fertile land, several estates, and all sorts of luxury items. I could never spend it all in a lifetime. I eat expensive food every day. I refuse to mistreat myself. Given the Marquis' meager estate, that noble concubine wanting to live like me is truly a bold dream. Shinsun radiated a cold aura, looking quite grim. He must have looked through the household accounts. After a long time, he looked at me and said, I seized a lot of spoils on the battlefield. But that money, I distributed all of it to the families of the fallen soldiers as pensions. What little remained was sent to your home as betrothal gifts. You should have brought those betrothal gifts with you. I won't touch your dowry. But I hope you can reallocate those betrothal gifts. That way, my beloved won't have to suffer. I was almost driven to laughter by his shameless words. I immediately stopped being polite. Once given, the betrothal gifts are mine. Shinsun, your shamelessness has truly reached a new level in my eyes. I thought you were shameless enough before, but I didn't think you could get even worse. Pizzi, send a bowl of abortion medicine to that noble concubine. Watch her drink it until the fetus is gone. I turned and gave the order to my personal maid. Shinsun's eyes widened. Don't you dare. He pointed at me, instantly losing his composure. You malicious woman. Why can't you even tolerate a child? I sat there lazily, lifting my eyelids to admire Shinsun's curious face. Once I had enough, I finally deigned to speak to him. She is a mere concubine. She is not worthy of bearing a child before the mistress of the house. You don't care about face, but my Yun family does. Look at the entire capital. Which reputable family would allow illegitimate children to be born first? Shinsun was momentarily speechless. His anger had no outlet, and his face turned red from suppression. Once the child is born, registering it under your name makes it legitimate. In any case, I will never touch you in this lifetime. You will never have your own child. So what if you raise that child? I will have many more children with Chinger later. All those children can be registered under your name. They will be as good as your biological children. I couldn't help but laugh. I could no longer link the man before me to that heroic young general. What a perfect calculation. He wants to produce a swarm of children to consume my dowry. Wishful thinking. Shinsun, divorce me or the abortion. Pick one. I looked Shinsun directly in the eye. My tone level. I didn't even feel like being angry anymore. Just found it ridiculous. It was laughable that such a man was the young general of our great Xia dynasty. Shinsun's face was ashen. I saw his fists clench and loosen, then clench again. Finally, he gave me a cold look and walked away without a word. I turned to Pizzi. Pizzi looked furious and nodded indignantly on my behalf. I will personally see that the concubine drinks the abortion medicine until she miscarries. Pizzi turned to carry out the task. I trusted her to handle it. I no longer felt like admiring the scenery. I took my maids out to go shopping. I bought a ton of things I liked, filling 2 carriages. As we returned to the estate in a grand procession, Pizzi came to my side and said respectfully, Madam, the fetus has been removed. I broke into a smile. With a wave of my hand, I said, let's go see the noble concubine. Let's bring her some supplements while we're at it. Smiling, I arrived at Wanqing's courtyard and saw her lying on the bed. Noble concubine, I heard you miscarried. It so happens I bought a lot of things while out today, so I came to see you. Wanqing's face was pale, and her body was weak. She looked at me with pure hatred, her eyes bloodshot, as if she wanted to devour my flesh. She ground her teeth. Madam, why must you be so heartless? To not even spare a child. Is this the upbringing of the Yun family? Presumptuous. A concubine dares question the madam? Pizzi rushed forward to slap her, but I stopped her. She just lost a child. She's weak. Wait until she's better before slapping her. I admired Wanqing's expression for a moment. My mood improved further. She always flaunted her power before me. I had to let her know who the master of this house was. Even Shinsun couldn't protect her child. I am no saint. I would play the villain to the end. Divorce or abortion, I let Shinsun choose. Shinsun chose the abortion. The truth was a dagger to her heart. You're lying. It was clearly your own malice. Yet you blame the Marquis. The Marquis is not that kind of person. I looked down at my fair fingers. I had dyed my nails a pale pink, which I quite liked. Shinsun is exactly that kind of person. If he divorces me, the emperor will punish him. And might even revoke his power. You are just a mere concubine. How much weight do you carry in his heart? Look, he didn't even dare to resist the marriage. He only took you as a concubine. Between power and a beauty, he chose power. Shinsun held military power, and had won several battles. Would the old emperor just watch him grow stronger? This marriage contract was the emperor's deliberate move. If I defied the decree, the emperor would punish the Yun family. If Shinsun defied the decree, the emperor would use it to reclaim Shinsun's military power. The old emperor's calculation was brilliant. It's just that neither Shinsun nor I defied him. Who knows what the emperor will do next? Wan Qing looked on in disbelief. She coughed up several mouthfuls of blood. Utterly devastated, Shinsun pushed the door open and entered, seeing his beloved in such a state. His eyes turned red with distress. He reached out to push me aside. But I stepped away just in time, avoiding Shinsun's hand. Shinsun glared at me fiercely. Then turned to tenderly take Wan Qing into his arms. He gently wiped the blood from her mouth. Qing'er, I will call the imperial physician for you. Marquis, please don't blame the madam. She didn't mean to abort our child. It's my fault for being a lowly concubine. I shouldn't have had a child before the madam. Madam even specially brought me supplements, giving me the medicine. I am very grateful. Shinsun's anger deepened. He suppressed his rage. To tenderly comfort Wan Qing. I won't allow you to belittle yourself like this. In my heart, you are the true mistress of the Shin family. Wan Qing's body trembled. And tears fell. I wouldn't dare. The madam is the true mistress of this house. Shinsun turned to look at me. His eyes like blades. Yun Jingrong, you have already killed the child in her womb. Why do you still refuse to let her go? Will you only be happy when you've driven her to death? I raised my hands and clapped, signaling that the performance was wonderful. I pointed to the box nearby. I kindly sent her supplements. This is 10-year-old high-grade ginseng. Is this treating her poorly? Shinsun turned his head and saw the box of supplements. Wan Qing tugged at Shinsun's clothes, saying with reddened eyes, Marquis, our child. You should have a child with the madam first. After she gives birth, I will. Don't talk nonsense. My children can only come from your womb. But a concubine cannot have the first child. Don't worry. I have my ways. Listening to their conversation, I thought, even if Shinsun wanted to, I wouldn't be willing. I walked away, relieved, leaving behind the box of supplements. That evening, while eating dessert, I listened to Pizzi describe the drama at the concubine's place. After Shinsun left, that noble concubine smashed a bunch of things. She even threw the box of supplements I sent to the servants. Given her wasteful nature, even 10 Shinsuns couldn't afford her. Pizzi knew I liked drama, so she had developed the same hobby. She often knew whatever was happening in other houses, let alone within our own estate. Speaking of this gossip, her eyes were full of excitement. My eyes crinkled. Provoking me comes with a price. For the next month, I stayed nestled in the Marquis' estate, not going out or socializing. Every day I played with my cat, ate, and had fun. I bumped into Shinsun several times in the garden pavilion. Every time, he would look at me with disdain, thinking I was a useless person who knew nothing, simply occupying the position of mistress in his family. If he's so capable, he should defy the imperial decree. What's the point of taking his anger out on me? If I wasn't happy, I wouldn't let them have it easy either. I had people secretly watch them. Every time they were being intimate, I'd have someone interrupt. After a few times, Shinsun finally couldn't take it anymore. He came before me with a dark face. Are you doing this on purpose? I don't touch you. I only like touching Qing'er. Are you jealous? I looked at Shinsun with contempt and said calmly, you flatter yourself. I don't like you. So there's no jealousy to speak of. It's best if we stay out of each other's way from now on. I won't bother you. And I hope you don't bother me. I only want to spend the rest of my life in peace. When you see me, remember to walk the other way, and don't come seeking attention from me. Shinsun's face turned even darker. He gave me a cold look, said nothing, and turned to leave. After that, Shinsun really rarely appeared before me. Even if we bumped into each other, he would turn and walk away from a distance. I was happy in my heart, and felt more at ease in the Marquis' estate. The household management was entirely in Wan Qing's hands. Invitations from the prominent families in the capital were also all sent to Wan Qing. Initially, the gatekeeper sent the invitations to me. But I didn't want to deal with them, so I had them all sent to Wanqing. Wanqing came to me to show off proudly. I gave a faint smile, waiting to watch the drama unfold. I heard. She was a woman Shinsun brought back from the border. Her family was poor. From her usual speech, one could see. She was not good at socializing. Those noble ladies and daughters are all very sharp. Why would they bother with a mere concubine like her? Sure enough. After attending a few banquets, she went to Shinsun to complain and cry. Eventually, Shinsun brought her to me. I looked at Shinsun, puzzled. What are you doing here? Don't you know I'm busy? I really had no time to deal with these two. What could you be busy with? Qing'er is managing this whole house. Wanqing tugged at Shinsun's sleeve, signaling him to stop talking. Then she knelt before me, crying, with tearful eyes. Madam, I was wrong. I shouldn't have gone out to banquets without you. I know my family is poor. And there are many things I don't understand. I beg the madam to teach me. The madam can punish me however she likes. Shinsun couldn't bear it. Distressed, he pulled Wanqing up, and tenderly wiped away her tears. Then he looked at me. You are the Grand Tutor's daughter. You received an excellent upbringing from a young age. I hope you can teach Qing'er how to socialize with those noble ladies. I looked at them in surprise. Why don't you hire some famous teachers to teach her? I tried, but those people are all snobs. When they heard they were to teach a concubine, they all refused. Those without fame wanted to come and teach. But I looked down on them. They are not worthy of teaching my beloved. Wanqing's face looked embarrassed. I see. They couldn't find a famous female teacher for Wanqing, so they were forced to come to me, acting as if I were getting a great deal. Shinsun's words were interesting. He calls others snobs. Yet he himself looks down on those with lower status than him. Seeing me silent, Shinsun seemed to realize his tone was too harsh. He cleared his throat. Qing'er, I was wrong to you before. But none of this has to do with Qing'er. I hope you can set aside past grievances and teach her. My eyes were calm. I faintly raised my hand. Please call me madam. Things that happened in the past cannot be erased with a simple sorry dot. Even if they died before me, I wouldn't even blink. Shinsun followed suit and whispered, Madam. I nodded with a smile and agreed. I turned my head toward Wanqing. Come every morning at dawn. Wanqing was stunned, then thanked me repeatedly. Thank you, madam. Shinsun also finally gave me a gentle smile. Holding Wanqing's slender waist, they left affectionately before me. Pizzi didn't understand my decision. Madam, why? I smiled slightly. Since she is a concubine, she should learn the rules of a concubine. You keep an eye on her. Pizzi understood instantly. I will properly teach this concubine. One day, Wanqing arrived early. Pizzi had her sit in the hall and wait. I still slept until I woke up naturally. When I woke up, it was already midday. I took my time with breakfast, before remembering Wanqing was there. I went to see her in a good mood. Wanqing looked unhappy when she saw me, but probably realizing she needed something from me, she instantly retracted her resentment. Next, the task of teaching concubine rules was handed to Pizzi. Pizzi taught her how to respect the mistress. If the mistress tells her to go east, she cannot go west. If the mistress tells her to go west, she cannot go east. A concubine must perform the full kowtow upon seeing the mistress, and must not talk back. Wanqing knelt to listen to the instructions. When she was tired, she stood up to rest, then continued kneeling after resting. I sat aside, admiring Wanqing's expression. I watched her face go from joy to eventual resentment. It only took one day for her to lose her endurance. She ran to tell Shinsun that I was deliberately bullying her and humiliating her. Shinsun rushed to scold me. Yun Jingrong. I didn't expect you to be such a petty person. You promised to teach Qing'er, but you humiliate her behind my back. You've gone too far. She is so gentle and kind. How has she ever wronged you, that you must mistreat her like this? I smiled faintly and smashed the teacup in my hand at Shinsun's feet. You asked me to teach her the rules. Since she is a concubine, she is learning the rules for a concubine. Did I teach her wrongly? Shinsun, don't be unreasonable. It makes me sick. They came looking for humiliation. Why would I miss the chance? Why did they think that with one sorry I would let go of everything and obediently teach Wanqing? Shinsun suddenly didn't dare to do anything to me, and he turned to leave. In the end, Shinsun still hired a low-famed female teacher to teach Wanqing. Wanqing went out to banquets representing the marquis's mistress, and was whispered about by the noble ladies of the capital for a long time. My father gathered evidence and petitioned the emperor against Shinsun for favoring a concubine over his wife. The old emperor called Shinsun to the palace and gave him a severe scolding, taking back some of his power in the process. I read the letter from my father with great interest. When the old emperor scolded Shinsun, my father was watching from the side. He wrote down every detail of the scene in the letter. After reading it, the corners of my mouth curled up. My parents really love me. And can't bear to see me mistreated. Shinsun was finally scared by the emperor's scolding. He didn't appear before me for a while after that. Wanqing didn't go out to banquets anymore either. After staying in the estate for so long, I wanted to go out for some fresh air. I browsed through several shops, and finally went to a restaurant to get something to eat. Just as I stepped inside, I ran into my old rival from before I was married. Song Yusin. She was the prime minister's daughter, her status equal to mine, as was her fame. But our temperaments didn't match. We argued every time we met. She had married the third prince as his consort 2 months ago. I gave her a brief glance, withdrew my gaze, and entered a private room. Seeing me, Song Yusin turned and followed me into the room. She sat down beside me. Her chin tilted up slightly. Yun Jingrong, you've really regressed. To let a concubine climb over your head and act wildly. And you just hide in the marquise estate. How embarrassing. I simply don't like going out to socialize. At least Shinsun only has one concubine. The third prince has more than one, doesn't he? We grew up together. And knew each other's sore spots. What Song Yusin disliked most was her husband having other women around him. But she was married to the third prince by imperial decree. And she didn't even have a chance to resist. Neither of us could control our own marriages. We were just bargaining chips used by those in power to win people over or suppress them. Song Yusin gave me a cold glare, stopped talking, and called the waiter for a jar of wine. She drank cup after cup. She became tipsy. Her face flushed. Eventually, she even came over and hugged my waist, refusing to let go. She's really gone mad. I pried her hands off, and had her maid send her back to the third prince's estate. Having had my fill, I also went back. I saw Wanqing sitting in the pavilion. She was touching her belly, smiling lovingly. Shinsun was squatting before her, his ear pressed against her lower abdomen, his face full of joy. It looked like she was pregnant again. Seeing me, Wanqing pushed Shinsun away in a panic. She hurriedly knelt on the ground, her eyes turning red instantly. She said aggrievedly, "Madam, I didn't mean to get pregnant. Please, I beg you, spare this child, okay? My child is innocent. He is, after all, the Marquis' second child. Please, for the Marquis' sake, spare him. If you're angry, just take it out on me. I can take it." The smile on Shinsun's face vanished instantly. He leaned over to help Wanqing up, looking at me with eyes full of disgust. "Why are you always so malicious? The child is innocent." Here they go again with this drama of fighting for favor. I hadn't even said anything. Yet they already labeled me as malicious. I walked over slowly. Wanqing leaned delicately into Shinsun's arms, her body trembling even more violently. She buried herself in Shinsun's clothes. "Marquis, it's my fault. I shouldn't have gotten pregnant. Please don't be angry with the madam." Shinsun's face turned black with rage. He even rushed toward me to strike me. I tilted my face up, looking at Shinsun coldly. Shinsun took a deep breath, and finally pulled his hand back. He caressed Wanqing's face lovingly. He comforted her, "Don't worry. This child will definitely be protected. I won't let anyone hurt our child again." I saw Wanqing flash a triumphant smile at me. I also heard Shinsun's solemn vow that he would protect the child. I was actually curious. How exactly did he plan to protect the child? That night, Shinsun came and told me, "I will divorce you. I hope you don't touch the child in her womb. My Shin family has no room for a jealous, wicked woman like you. I never originally intended to divorce you. But you've hurt Qing'er time and time again. You have truly enraged me." I was stunned for a moment and then felt pure ecstasy. I didn't even care that he called me a wicked woman. I pressed him, "How do you plan to do it? Our marriage was decreed by the old emperor. The emperor must agree to a divorce. Is he really going to give up all his military power?" Shinsun said impatiently, "You don't need to know. Just pack your things and get out of the Yun family. I truly loathe seeing you." I directly raised my hand and slapped Shinsun. "Keep your mouth clean. You'd better divorce me quickly. Otherwise, I don't know when I might lose control. And send a bowl of miscarriage medicine to your noble concubine." I used all my strength for that slap. A handprint soon appeared on Shinsun's face. He looked at me coldly. "You're only relying on the fact that I don't hit women. Even one look at you makes me feel sick." I pointed my slender hand at the door. "Then leave, don't stay." Shinsun left, full of anger. The next day, Shinsun went to the palace. When he returned, he gave me a divorce decree. I joyfully packed my bags. I can finally leave this Marquis estate. I couldn't stay for another moment. Wanqing came before me with a smile. "Madam, oh, wait. Miss Yun. On your wedding day, your husband didn't even show up. It hasn't even been a year. And you've been cast out. You will become the laughingstock of the capital. Doesn't this taste wonderful?" When I went out to banquets before, everyone looked down on me. It was all your fault. The tables have truly turned. You're finally getting your due. Only someone like you would like a useless man like Shinsun. Wan Qing's smile froze for a moment. She quickly regained her composure. She continued smiling. I knew once I was pregnant. The Marquis would never let you harm my child again. See? Between you and me, the Marquis chose me. The one he loves most is me. But you are still just a concubine. Great Xiao law does not allow a concubine to be promoted to official wife unless Shinsun performs some great merit to ask for a reward. Even if you are promoted, you'll still just be a concubine who climbed up. The ladies of the capital will still look down on you. Humiliation flashed in Wan Qing's eyes. Tears began to flow. Why must you humiliate me like this? Even as a concubine, I am willing to stay by the Marquis' side for a lifetime. And bear him many, many children. The moment she started crying, I knew Shinsun would appear very soon. Sure enough, Shinsun rushed in furiously. He shielded Wan Qing. Yun Jingrong. Out of respect for you being the daughter of the Yun family, I didn't give you a letter of expulsion, but a divorce decree. You're already a divorced woman. Yet you still dare to bully my beloved. You are simply too malicious. I watched Shinsun glare at me with hostility. But I felt nothing in my heart. An insignificant person is not enough to affect my mood. I even smiled and said to them, I wish you two a long life together. My maid quickly finished packing my things. The classic, grand dowry, with my belongings in tow. I left the Shin Marquis estate in high spirits. I didn't take any of Shinsun's betrothal gifts. Those were the Shin family's property. I didn't care for them. When we break clean. As I walked out of the Shin family gates, I saw my father and mother had come in person to fetch me. Touched. I lifted the curtain and boarded the carriage. I threw myself into my mother's arms. Mother, my mother's eyes were filled with tears. My child has truly suffered. Don't be sad. We're going home. I nodded. Tears in my eyes. When bullied by Shinsun, I wasn't sad. When targeted by Wan Qing, I wasn't angry. But leaning in my mother's arms, hearing her concern for me, my heart softened completely. And I couldn't help but cry out loud. My mother felt even more distressed. Jinger, don't feel aggrieved. Mother is here. That bastard Shinsun. I should have beaten him to death back then. These are tears of joy. I can finally go home. I missed you both. I want to stay with you forever. My mother reached out to wipe my tears. She smiled. Fine, we'll take care of you for a lifetime. My father told me that Shinsun traded all his military power for the old emperor's consent to the divorce. I saw my father's face was terrifyingly dark, giving me the feeling that he wanted to take a blade and kill Shinsun that very instant. I pulled at my father's sleeve. I'm really not sad. Nor am I upset. Being divorced from Shinsun. You have no idea how happy I am. My father saw my smile and realized I truly wasn't grieving. Only then did his expression soften slightly. I returned home after the divorce, and once again, the capital was full of gossip about me. I ignored it. I lived a quiet life, like a cat, and the smile on my face couldn't be suppressed. I heard from my mother that every time my father saw Shinsun, he would scold him mercilessly. Shinsun didn't even dare to talk back. Shinsun's military power had been revoked. He was now just an idle marquis. In a capital crawling with powerful elites. A marquis without actual power. Who would still respect him? I stayed nestled at home. But my old rival, Song Yusin, came looking for me. She ridiculed me fiercely. Now, your reputation in the capital is completely gone. You'll never be able to marry into a good family again. Reputation or not. I don't care. I got rid of that dog Shinsun. You have no idea how happy I am. I even smile in my sleep. As for marriage, after the divorce, I never planned on marrying again. Isn't it good to live on my own? Song Yusin was stunned. It seemed she didn't expect me to think this way. I leaned closer to her with a grin and let out a sighing laugh. The last time we met, you were dead drunk. You hugged my waist and wouldn't let go. Do you have some kind of feelings for me? Song Yusin jumped up suddenly, as if I had stepped on her tail. She retorted loudly, You're talking nonsense. Don't slander me. How could I possibly have hugged you? I laughed heartily. You can ask your maid. Song Yusin turned to look at her maid. Her maid nodded nervously. Song Yusin's face instantly turned beet red. She didn't dare look at me again, and rushed out in a flurry. After staying home for a month, I planned to go to the Daxiangguo temple to pray. After my father found out, he arranged over a dozen guards to protect me. I took the carriage to the foot of the temple's mountain. To show the Buddha my sincerity, I got off and walked all the way up. Halfway up the mountain, I actually saw Shinsun and Wan Qing sitting in a pavilion. Relying on the fact that no one was around, they were hugging. Shameless. I calmly withdrew my gaze and continued walking up. Wan Qing saw me, her eyes full of disdain. Miss Yun, as a discarded wife. You actually have the face to come out? Are you going to beg Buddha for a good match? Are you not afraid Buddha won't want to see you? I turned around slowly, staring at Wanqing indifferently, hugging and cuddling in front of the Buddha. You truly have no sense of decorum. Shinsun. Your noble concubine is of a breed that knows nothing of rules. How dare you let her out to bite people? It's only because I have a good temper that I don't stoop to her level. If it were any other prince's consort, she wouldn't even know how she died. I turned to look at Shinsun, my eyes full of impatience, coming out for fresh air. And I still ran into these two disgusting things. Wanqing looked as if she'd been deeply humiliated. She snuggled into Shinsun's arms, sounding aggrieved. Marquis, I am just a concubine. I shouldn't have come out to embarrass you. Let's go back to the estate. We shouldn't disturb the Buddha's peace. Shinsun's anger flared up. He glared at me. Yun Jingrong. You're no longer the mistress of the Shin family. Why do you still maliciously target Qinger? Is it her fault that she's a concubine? She is so gentle and kind. Because I divorced you. She blames herself every day, thinking she caused our separation. To make her happy, I brought her here to pray. She finally managed to let go of the past. And yet you come to bully her again. Shinsun really has a lot of nerve. This pair keeps provoking me. And I was past the point of being angry. I turned a corner and walked into the pavilion. I approached Wanqing and slapped her right across the face. Wanqing was stunned. She seemingly didn't expect me to dare slap her here. Shinsun was also dazed for a second. Once he reacted, he tried to slap me back, but I had already stepped aside. My guards immediately stepped forward, staring at Shinsun menacingly. Wanqing's tears poured down uncontrollably. Marquis. I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have appeared before Miss Yun. But in the capital, encounters with Miss Yun are unavoidable. Marquis, please send me back to my family home. As long as I'm gone, Miss Yun will feel better. I can't bear to see Miss Yun angry because of me. I know everything is my fault. I caused you two to end up like this. I don't deserve to live in this world. Wanqing spoke through her tears. Yet her words were exceptionally clear. As if afraid others wouldn't understand. After she finished, she even tried to throw herself against a pillar. Shinsun was quick and caught her in his arms. Utterly heartbroken, he gently comforted her. Qinger, listen to me. This is not your fault. Don't blame yourself. Yun Jingrong, do you see now? This is how you forced Qinger. You dared to strike her right in front of me. In the corners where I can't see. Just how much did you bully her? I looked at them coldly. I really wanted to stab them both to death, but Shinsun is a marquis and a god of war. I couldn't do that. I could only use words to disgust them. Wanqing, Shinsun keeps saying you are his beloved. But right now, you are still just his concubine. The child you bear will also be of concubine-born status. To kill, one must strike the heart. Wanqing's face turned red with anger. And she cried even harder. Shinsun looked at me with a face of iron. A flash of killing intent passing through his eyes. Seeing them furious at me. Yet unable to do anything. The corners of my mouth curled up slightly. I continued climbing the mountain in a good mood. I didn't let anyone assist me. I walked up to the summit step by step. And knelt before the Buddha. I prayed that the Buddha would protect my parents' health and prosperity. And protect my brother who was far away in Jiangnan, so he could return home safely. After making my wishes, I donated 10,000 taels of silver as an offering. The abbot, knowing I had donated so much, had a disciple lead me to his meditation room. The door opened. And a young man walked out. He was wearing a black robe. A jade belt around his waist with a jade pendant hanging from it. He looked at me. And nodded with a smile. In my memory, as he passed by me, he said a single sentence. All suffering will pass. I was stunned. I turned to see his silent, departing figure. I knew who he was. He was the current emperor's ninth son, Gu Minghuan. Among the many princes, he had no presence. And was not favored by the emperor. I had seen him a few times at palace banquets. The old him always sat in a corner, inconspicuous. Today, he actually came to Daxiangguo Temple in full dress. And his aura was completely different from before. As expected, no one in the imperial family is simple. This ninth prince was also a wolf in sheep's clothing. I entered the abbot's meditation room. And spoke with him for a long time. My state of mind gradually became peaceful. The moment I walked out, I felt as if I were even more composed. On my way down the mountain, dozens of men in black suddenly descended from the sky. They entangled the guards protecting me. One of the men in black approached me. Suddenly, Gu Minghuan appeared in front of me. His martial arts were superb, and he killed all the men in black directly. A drop of blood landed on his handsome face, making him look breathtakingly beautiful. I clenched my hands into fists. It was the first time I had seen so many people die before me. My stomach couldn't help but churn. Gu Minghuan stood before me. blocking my view. Only then did I feel slightly better. Don't look, it will soil your eyes. Why is the ninth prince here? All of this was too coincidental. I couldn't help but be suspicious. Gu Minghuan's aura was steady. He returned to his cold, aloof self. As if the person who killed without blinking just now wasn't him. He looked at me and smiled gently. I was just in the woods over there visiting my mother. I heard the commotion over here and came over. I was stunned. Your mother? Gu Minghuan nodded with a smile. My mother's status was humble. She couldn't enter the imperial tombs. So I buried her here. Today is the anniversary of her death. I come to visit her every year. His gaze was too clear and harmless. I immediately bowed my head in shame. Forgive me, I shouldn't have brought up your sad memories. Someone kindly saved me. And yet I suspected them of having ulterior motives. Gu Minghuan shook his head. It's no matter, I bowed to him gratefully. The grace of saving my life should be repaid 100-fold. I owe you a life. Gu Minghuan's tone was indifferent. You were the first person to show me kindness. Saving you was just incidental. I looked blankly. When did I show him kindness? He seemed to see my confusion. And explained patiently, my mother was a palace maid. Her status was lowly. When others see me, their eyes are always filled with disgust. As if I am something filthy. Just now when I ran into you outside the abbot's room. Your gaze was gentle and clear. I am grateful in my heart. I looked directly into his eyes. And seemed to see pain and sadness. I couldn't help but say, borrowing his words. All suffering will pass. Gu Minghuan's eyes crinkled. And he let out a soft laugh. I'll take that as a blessing. He really looks good when he smiles. The smile was pure, without a speck of worldly dust. I turned to look at my guards. Who would send people to assassinate me? I had to find out. The guard leader stepped forward. Miss, these men in black were suicide squads. I cannot yet tell which household they belong to. Please give me some time to investigate. We will surely avenge you, Mississippi. I nodded slightly. I returned home, and told my father and mother about this. They were furious. My father slammed the table. That someone would dare in broad daylight to assassinate my precious daughter. This must be thoroughly investigated. My mother always had a gentle and calm temperament. But hearing that I was attacked, she broke out in curses. Damned scoundrels. It must be investigated. Avenge my daughter. I told them it was the ninth prince who saved me. My father was quite surprised. The ninth prince has always been inconspicuous in court. Since he saved you today, I will show him proper gratitude. I had someone prepare a generous gift to be sent to the ninth prince's estate. 3 days later, following the clues, my father found that the mastermind behind the assassination was Wan Qing. The ninth prince also sent word. It was Wan Qing who hired the assassins to kill me. My father gathered all the evidence, preparing to have the emperor sentence Wan Qing to death. As for Shen Sun, news suddenly spread. The Empress Dowager went to Daxiangguo Temple to pray, and Wan Qing blocked a blade for her. Out of gratitude, the Empress Dowager had the emperor decree her a district princess. The title was Onping, and she was promoted to be Shen Sun's official wife. Hearing this news, I couldn't help but doubt the authenticity of the Empress Dowager's attack. Could it be such a coincidence? Could it have been a plot by Wan Qing and Shen Sun? Fuming, my father smashed his favorite tea set. He didn't want to believe Wan Qing could be so lucky either. He sent people to investigate. In the end, it was found that the Empress Dowager's encounter with Wan Qing had nothing to do with Shen Sun. Wan Qing really had incredible luck, saving the Empress Dowager's life. I stood in the pavilion, watching the fish swimming happily in the lake. I scattered some fish food in, feeling depressed. With the Empress Dowager backing Wan Qing, there was no telling how she would deal with me in the future. My mother was worried and indignant. Husband, we cannot let Wan Qing off just like this. She sent people to assassinate our daughter. She must pay the price. I will enter the palace to report to His Majesty, but as for what His Majesty will do, I cannot guarantee. If His Majesty does not seek justice for Jinger, we will take it back ourselves. My father took all the evidence into the palace. He presented all the evidence before the emperor. But the emperor said dismissively, Wan Qing accidentally injured your daughter. But it is a fact that she saved the Empress Dowager's life. I have already rewarded her. Then punish her with 1 month of house arrest. When my father returned, his face was completely dark, exuding a cold and ruthless aura. He told everything that happened in the palace to my mother and me. My mother's heart grew completely cold. Accidentally? With all the evidence presented, they call it an accident? This is far too biased. She is the Empress Dowager's savior. The Empress Dowager and the Emperor are determined to favor her. We must act with extreme caution. We must ensure nothing goes wrong before we strike. Wan Qing was seriously injured and unconscious from saving the Empress Dowager. She hadn't left the estate for a month. The Emperor's punishment was meaningless. Shen Sun, perhaps knowing that we knew what Wan Qing had done, stayed by Wan Qing's side every day, protecting her so thoroughly that not a drop of water could leak through. It was difficult for my father to find an opportunity to act. A month later, Wanqing had recovered from her serious injuries. The Empress Dowager summoned me into the palace. My mother nervously held my hand. Why would the Empress Dowager summon you for no reason? It must be that Wanqing. Speaking ill of you before her. I will go with you. But the Empress Dowager emphasized only summoning me. We cannot defy her will. Otherwise, who knows how she might punish us, mother. Don't worry. She summoned me so openly. She can't just kill me. At most, I'll suffer a little. My father appeared before us. I will go into the palace with Jinger. I have matters to report to His Majesty. His Majesty is faint-headed. But he won't watch me die in the palace. My mother then let out a sigh of relief. Finally, I went into the palace with my father. Led by the palace maids, I went to Tsiren Palace. My father went to Yangxin Hall. The Empress Dowager left me waiting in the side hall. It took the time for an incense stick to burn before I was led into the main hall. The Empress Dowager sat on the phoenix throne, emanating an aura of elegance and luxury. She was majestic even without being angry. I also saw Wanqing. She sat at the Empress Dowager's left hand, looking at me with a faint, beaming smile. Her eyes were full of triumph, as if mocking my lack of self-awareness. I curtsied. This official's daughter greets the Empress Dowager. May you enjoy 10,000 fortunes and peace. The Empress Dowager slowly raised her eyes and stared at my face. She suddenly slapped the armrest. Kneel. My expression was calm. I had long expected her to make things difficult for me. I knelt down composedly. The Empress Dowager looked at me coldly. Qinger is now a district princess. While you are merely a discarded ex-wife. Her status is more noble than yours. Why didn't you bow to her? My eyes lowered slightly, avoiding the Empress Dowager's face. To see the district princess after so long. I was a bit surprised. I shall greet her now. Wanqing stood up to speak for me, maintaining a gentle and kind appearance. Your Majesty. Miss Yun is well educated. She likely didn't mean to disparage the imperial family. Please appease your anger. Fortunately, Qinger is here to speak for you. But I heard you used to rely on your status to make things difficult for her every day, and even maliciously caused the death of her unborn child. Yun Jingrong. You deserve to die 10,000 deaths. Qinger is the district princess conferred by His Majesty, a member of the imperial family. Her child was also of imperial blood. Yet your father dared to enter the palace to slander her, claiming she sent assassins after you. Your Yun family truly has such a malicious heart. Qinger is so gentle and kind. She never held it against you. Yet you are narrow-minded, secretly plotting against her. Such intent is punishable. Guards. Yun Jingrong has offended her superiors. Punish her with 20 strokes of the paddle. Thank you, Your Majesty, for seeking justice for this subject. 2 strong old nannies walked over, forcefully grabbing my arms. Wanqing looked at me with an arrogant smile. I was powerless to resist. Just then, the head eunuch from the emperor's side walked in. Your Majesty. His Majesty summons the eldest miss of the Yun family to Yangxin Hall. The Empress Dowager's eyes narrowed slightly, her expression showing dissatisfaction. Why? The Grand Tutor and His Majesty were talking for a long time, when he suddenly felt pain and broke into a cold sweat. His life is in danger. He wishes to see Miss Yun one last time. I clenched my fists. Father was actually using this method to save me. The Empress Dowager's face was unsightly, her eyes staring at me as if she wanted to devour me. Perhaps she didn't dare to go against the emperor. After a long time, she waved her hand. Go. The Grand Tutor has exhausted himself for the country. Since he wishes to see his daughter now, I permit it. I slowly stood up. Having knelt for so long, my legs were numb. I almost couldn't stand steadily. I bit my lip, followed the eunuch, and left Tsiren Palace. Before leaving, I heard the Empress Dowager say, Qinger, do not be sad. I will surely seek justice for you in the future. You have been wronged. I will not make things easy for her in the future. She must pay a heavy price for what she has done. Thank you, Your Majesty. This subject is eternally grateful, but Miss Yun is, after all, the Grand Tutor's legitimate daughter. Her status is noble. I beg Your Majesty to spare her life. The Empress Dowager's face went cold as she smashed a teacup. The Grand Tutor's daughter? So what? She is still just a discarded woman. Since she dared to bully you, she must pay the price. What an Empress Dowager, who can't distinguish right from wrong. I knew. Those words were deliberately spoken for me to hear. I arrived at the side hall of Yangxin Hall, and saw my father lying on the couch unconscious. Several imperial physicians were standing by to treat him. My eyes turned red. I didn't even care to greet the emperor. I knelt by his side, crying. Father, your daughter has been unfilial. The head of the imperial physicians comforted me. Miss Yun, there's no need to be too sad. We are already treating the Grand Tutor. He is not in mortal danger now. He just needs to go back and recover well. I wiped away my tears messily, thanking the head of the imperial physicians repeatedly. Only then did I turn to look at the emperor in his bright yellow dragon robe. Kneeling on the ground, "Thank you, your majesty, for saving my father's life." Even though I was gnashing my teeth at him in my heart, I couldn't show a single hint of dissatisfaction on my face. I even had to act desperately grateful. The emperor looked at me indifferently. Rumors in the capital say the Grand Tutor's daughter is elegant and gentle, with outstanding beauty. Seeing you now, your beauty is indeed outstanding. But your character isn't as good as rumored. You've repeatedly incited your father to complain in court. But seeing how filial you are to your father, I will not punish you. I quietly listened to the old emperor's nonsense. When he finished, I cowed out in thanks. My father and I returned home. Seeing my father's state, my mother burst into tears. I sat quietly by my bed. A sense of powerlessness arose within me. I didn't know what I could do to avenge my father. Or myself. In this world, the two most noble people were deliberately making things hard for our Yun family. What could we do? Not long after, I heard a rumor. Wan Qing had accidentally offended the 9th prince, and was ordered to be beaten with 30 strokes by him. She had blocked a blade for the Empress Dowager, but the child she had barely saved was lost. Soon after, news spread that she had slighted the 3rd prince's consort. The 3rd prince's consort ordered her hand to be broken. I couldn't help but smile. A sarcastic smile. Others could openly deal with Wan Qing. But I, as the Grand Tutor's daughter, couldn't easily act. Because the Emperor and Empress Dowager both disliked our family. They were shameless in their blatant favoritism of Wan Qing. As a subject, my father had no choice. If my father acted and they caught him, they would certainly not let our Yun family go. I resented them. And that hatred took root in my heart. Song Yusin, the 3rd prince's consort, came to my house aggressively. She pulled me into my room, closing the doors and windows. You were soft-hearted at the beginning, and spared her life. But look. She wants your life. She offended me with her words once. And I punished her. Those offenses weren't worth a death sentence. But later she sent assassins to kill me. I also wanted to send assassins to kill her. But Shinsun stays by her side constantly. She hasn't left the Marquis' estate either. I can't find an opportunity to strike. Song Yusin smiled coldly. You certainly have your reasons. I bowed to her in gratitude. Thank you, Princess Consort, for standing up for me, Song Yusin said awkwardly. Who said I was standing up for you? Wan Qing dared to insult me. Breaking her hand was a light punishment. I smiled, not continuing to expose her. I couldn't help but remind her. About those concubines of the 3rd prince, you must also be cautious. I hope no mess like mine happens to you. Song Yusin's expression turned icy. If he dares to let a concubine harm me, see if I don't skin him alive. It seems someone's relationship with the 3rd prince has improved rapidly. Nonsense. Song Yusin retorted loudly. Then turned and ran, giving me the feeling she was fleeing in panic. My father had woken up. His health was poor. So he rested at home for a month. The emperor sent many rewards over. None of us touched them, throwing them directly into the warehouse to collect dust. Soon after, battle reports arrived. The Xiongnu were moving south, invading our country. The old emperor appointed Shinsun as general of mighty valor. To lead the army against the Xiongnu, Shinsun left the capital. He feared Wan Qing would suffer my revenge if she stayed in the capital. So Wan Qing had to go too. With those two disgusting people gone from the capital, my mood improved a lot. I stayed quietly at home, going nowhere. The eldest prince's coup failed, and he was sentenced to death by the emperor. The other princes were also fighting, dying one after another in the process. Only Gu Minghuan and the 3rd prince remained. The old emperor's health worsened. After passing the throne to Gu Minghuan, he passed away. The Empress Dowager became the Grand Empress Dowager. She settled down, closing her palace doors, and no longer seeing anyone. Hearing the news of the old emperor's death, I can't express how relieved I was. For such an incompetent and disgusting ruler, it was better he died sooner. Gu Minghuan ascended the throne. He purged a group of ministers with iron-blooded methods. The court officials were trembling with fear. No one expected the once quiet 9th prince to have such ruthless methods. Gu Minghuan conferred the 3rd prince the title of Princein. Princein left for his fief with the princess consort, not to return without a summons. Song Yusin came to say goodbye. I gave her a safety charm, which had been blessed. The turmoil in the capital gradually subsided. The new emperor promoted talented people from humble backgrounds. Those talented individuals who were previously suppressed finally got opportunities to be useful. My father no longer had to deal with that temperamental ruler, and his whole person seemed much lighter. Only Wan Qing remained a thorn in our hearts. She was now at the border, and we couldn't find an opportunity to act. The capital was too far from the border, and the border was Shinsun's territory, making it even more impossible. 6 months later, Shinsun crushed the Xiongnu. His fame as a god of war once again echoed throughout the great Xia dynasty. Ministers and commoners alike cheered. I was holding my little orange cat, Susu, sunning myself in the pavilion, occasionally feeding some koi. Hearing this news, my hand-stroking Susu paused for a moment. I couldn't help but feel happy too. But thinking of Shinsun, my lips curled slightly. His taste and character might be poor, but his ability to fight was beyond doubt. A month later, Shinsun returned in glory. He rode on a tall horse, clad in silver armor, exuding a majestic and iron-blooded aura. The shops on both sides of the street were crowded with people. Everyone was looking down into the street with fervent eyes. Unmarried ladies were blushing, looking at Shinsun, and whispering among themselves. I happened to be out for fun. When I got hungry, I found a restaurant to eat in, and then I saw this scene. Shinsun looked up at me, then indifferently looked away the next moment. I saw a carriage behind Shinsun. A light breeze blew, lifting the curtain. I saw the person inside was Wanqing. The corners of my mouth curled up slightly. In a good mood, I ate 2 extra pastries. Good that they're back. Now that they're back, there's a chance to settle all the old debts. The new emperor isn't like the late one who couldn't tell right from wrong. This time, I want Wanqing dead. Gu Minghuan held a banquet at the palace to host Shinsun and the soldiers who returned from the victory. The Shin Marquis estate was glorious in the capital for a time. Even Wanqing, as the concubine who became the marquis's wife, rose in status. Not to mention she also held the status of district princess. The wives and daughters of various families seemed to have forgotten that she was once a lowly concubine, and all tried to befriend her. I received an invitation from the Shin estate. Wanqing invited everyone to view flowers at the Shin estate in 3 days. She can't wait to show off as soon as she's back. Then I will tear apart her mask of gentle kindness. Let's see in the capital who dares to stay with such a murderer. So what if she's the marquis's wife? So what if she's district princess without the late emperor and the grand empress dowager to back her up? I can act freely. 3 days later, I dressed up meticulously, wearing a light purple long dress. With a butterfly mark on my forehead, my light makeup made me look breathtakingly beautiful. My maid was momentarily dazed. If Miss dresses like this, you will surely be the most radiant one. I smiled faintly. I took a carriage to the Shen estate. I had lived here for more than half a year. Stepping into the Shen estate once again, my state of mind was completely different. Many wealthy ladies were already in the flower hall. They were all chattering, but when they saw me coming, they stopped talking in unison. One, then another, all looked at me with meaningful eyes. One young lady couldn't help but say, "Miss Yun, I heard you were once at odds with Madame Shen, and often made things difficult for her. You actually came to this banquet. Aren't you afraid of being thrown out by her? Miss Yun, you were divorced by our god of war Marquis. Instead of hiding at home praying, how can you have the face to come here to view flowers with us? None of us sitting here have been discarded. To please Wanqing." Everyone started attacking me. I walked in slowly, without getting angry. That's how the world is. Whoever's feet smell of power, they like to flatter. I had seen through it long ago. I came here to bring a gift for Madame Shen. The main character hadn't appeared yet, so the show couldn't start. I casually found a seat and sat down. Everyone was attracted by my words, and looked at me curiously. I wonder, what gift Miss Yun has prepared for Madame Shen? I just smiled without speaking. Just as everyone's curiosity was piqued, Wanqing arrived late. She wore a luxurious long dress, her head covered in jewelry. Her neck, ears, and wrists were all covered in shimmering jewelry. She was desperate to announce to the world that she was the happiest woman on earth. The ladies all greeted her, and Wanqing returned the greetings with a smile, acting composed. She took her seat in the main position, and looked at me. "Miss Yun, it's been half a year, and you still look down on others as always. I heard you're still unmarried. I wonder if, after being divorced by the Marquis, you can still find a husband more illustrious than the Marquis. If you can't, I can make the decisions for you. I met many brave soldiers at the border that I can introduce to you." Others chimed in. "Yes, Miss Yun. You're getting older now. Don't be so picky. If you keep being picky, it'll be even harder to marry into a good family," I said indifferently. "I heard your second child is gone, and you haven't conceived again. As the mistress of the Shin family, you should do more to continue the bloodline. Why not let those concubines take over for the Marquis? That's none of Miss Yun's concern." Wanqing's expression changed slightly, and she looked at me through gritted teeth. "I heard Miss Yun prepared a gift for me. I wonder what it is." The time was about right. I smiled and clapped my hands. Several maids presented the evidence my father and Gu Minghuan had collected. Before all the ladies, my gaze swept over everyone. Once when I went to Daxiangguo Temple to pray, Madame Shen hired assassins to kill me. She wanted my life, but I had done nothing to wrong her. She was actually this cruel and malicious. Ladies, would you really want to associate with such a murderer? Would you? The ladies were stunned to see the evidence. Their eyes widened one by one, filled with disbelief. Is this true? She really sent people to assassinate Miss Yun? Wanqing's face changed instantly. She managed to steady her panic in time. Don't listen to her nonsense. How could I have sent people to assassinate her? Don't be fooled by her. The evidence is right here. There's no room for your denial. When associating with Madame Shin, everyone must be very careful. Otherwise, if you accidentally offend her, she might send someone to assassinate you. Aren't you afraid? Well, I certainly am. When the noble ladies heard this, their faces turned pale. They looked at Wanqing. Wanqing quickly sent someone to call for Shin Sun. She retorted loudly. I really didn't. I am the Omping County princess, titled by the late emperor. How dare you falsely accuse me of assassination? One lady sneered. It's true you are the Marquis's wife. And it's true you are the Omping County princess. But that doesn't mean you can kill at will. You even dared to kill the Grand Preceptor's daughter. Who else would you not dare to kill? As for the evidence, whether it's true or false, we have eyes to see for ourselves. Wanqing could no longer stay calm. She turned the spearhead toward me. Yun Jingrong, why are you slandering me like this? The assassination attempt was 6 months ago. Why didn't you bring it up 6 months ago? Why bring it up now? My Marquis has just returned from a victory. And you can't wait to forge evidence to frame me. What exactly are your limits? You already caused me to miscarry my child, and now you want to harm me further? Everyone's eyes fell on me. My expression remained composed. Because 6 months ago, you had someone backing you. When my father brought forth evidence, someone suppressed it for you. My father didn't dare to make a scene, so it was kept hidden. But I couldn't bear to see you ladies and young misses be deceived by Madame Shin's hypocritical face. That's why I brought this evidence out. Otherwise, I'm afraid you wouldn't be able to sleep peacefully at night, if even the Grand Preceptor didn't dare to make a scene. The person behind her was obvious. With such a powerful backer behind Madame Shin, those present didn't dare to offend Wanqing to the death. But they also didn't dare to associate with her deeply anymore. I watched the reactions of everyone there. My goal had been achieved. My eyes curved slightly. I stood up, ready to leave. Just then, a eunuch from the palace slowly approached. His expression was serious. He announced an imperial decree. Everyone knelt. They didn't understand why the emperor would issue a decree at this time. The eunuch opened the decree and read it aloud. After he finished, the flower hall was deathly quiet. Almost everyone's mind was filled with what the eunuch had just read. Wanqing had once sent someone to assassinate the Grand Preceptor's daughter, Yun Jingrong. It happened that the emperor was passing by and saved Yun Jingrong's life. The emperor stripped Wanqing of her title as county princess and ordered her to be thrown into prison. 2 men from the Dali temple came to arrest Wanqing. Wanqing was shocked and terrified. No, I didn't. Something must be wrong. I did no such thing. I was also stunned. I didn't expect that Gu Minghuan would publicly announce Wanqing's crimes. I thought he would punish Wanqing quietly in private. After all, Shin Sun had just returned from a victory. And Wanqing was his beloved. My gaze fell on Wanqing. Seeing her frantic and crazed state, I sneered. Are you questioning the emperor? Wanqing shook her head frantically in fear. She struggled desperately. Where is the Marquis? I want to see the Marquis. She was soon taken away. The flower banquet ended before it even began. The noble ladies glanced at me and left the Shen estate one by one. From beginning to end, Shin Sun never appeared. Doubt flashed in my eyes. Didn't Shin Sun love Wanqing deeply? Wanqing was being taken away, yet he didn't come out to stop it. It was truly unlike him. I didn't think too much about it, and prepared to leave. Suddenly, Shin Sun appeared in front of me. His tall frame blocked all the sunlight in front of me. I frowned slightly and tried to walk around him. Shin Sun blocked me once again. He looked down at me, his handsome face stained with guilt. His voice was a bit hoarse. Jeaner, can we go somewhere else to talk? The ladies who hadn't left yet saw the situation and turned their gazes toward us. I didn't want to have anything to do with Shin Sun. My voice was cold. Please don't call me that. There is nothing for us to talk about. Shin Sun looked at me with a hurt expression. I turned and left the Shin Marquis' estate. Those onlookers around me had looks of approval in their eyes. In the capital, rumors about me soon began to spread again. The Marquis Shin was deeply in love with the eldest Yun daughter. He confessed in public, hoping to win back her heart. I just laughed it off when I heard these reports. Whatever Shin Sun was thinking had nothing to do with me. I didn't want anything to do with him for the rest of my life. Gu Minghuan had helped me a great deal. I couldn't just enter the palace to thank him as I pleased, so I asked my father to convey my gratitude and a gift. My father came to me, holding a token and a bottle of poison. This is the token and poison the emperor gave you. He said you can take this token to visit Wanqing in the Dali Temple prison. You can make her drink this poison, or you can choose not to, so as not to dirty your hands. For her attempted murder, the Dali Temple will naturally seek justice for you. My heart jolted. I stared blankly at the things in my father's hand. Did the emperor really say that? My father nodded and placed the token and poison in my hands. Finally, there was a sense of revenge in my father's eyes. The emperor is truly wise and powerful. I gripped the two items, unable to describe the feeling in my heart for a moment. I seemed to owe the emperor more and more. My mother looked at me with concern. Jing'er, the emperor seems to treat you differently. I shook my head. The emperor is a good emperor. He would have done the same for anyone else. I took the token and the poison to the Dali Temple prison. As expected, the guards didn't stop me. I arrived before Wan Qing as if entering an empty space. The prison was dark and damp. The stench of insects and decay filled the air. I stood outside the cell. Her clothes were already filthy, and her jewelry was all gone. She was covered in grime from head to toe, and her face was deathly pale. When she saw me, she lunged forward like a madwoman. She roared, "Yun Jingrong, what are you doing here? Are you here to mock me? Are you satisfied now that I'm like this?" I admired Wan Qing's expression. The corners of my mouth curled up. I am very satisfied. Aren't you Shinsun's beloved? On the day you were taken away, he didn't even show up to save you. It's been several days now, and he hasn't rescued you yet. Wan Qing, does he not love you anymore? Wan Qing roared in anger, shaking all over. That's not it. He's just tied up with matters. He wouldn't do this to me. Yun Jingrong, I won't allow you to slander his feelings. For me, the one he loves most will always be me. He will definitely come to save me. You can forget about ever becoming his wife. Seeing her powerless madness, I felt wonderful. You're wrong, I'm not interested in him. I'm here today to see you off. I'm afraid you won't have another chance to see him in this life. I've kindly come to send you on your way. You should be grateful to me. Wan Qing trembled all over and looked at me in horror. What do you want to do? I handed the poison to the Dali Temple guards beside me and told them to make Wan Qing drink it. The emperor had given me this chance for personal revenge. How could I let it pass? The Dali Temple guards had already received Fu Minghuan's orders. They forced the poison down Wan Qing's throat. Wan Qing's eyes widened, and she resisted desperately. But as a weak woman, how could she be a match for two grown men? After being forced to swallow the poison, she glared at me intensely. Yun Jingrong, you are taking the law into your own hands. The emperor will not let you off. What a malicious heart you have. You will die a miserable death. Blood began to seep from the corners of Wan Qing's mouth. She clutched her chest in uncontrollable pain. Suddenly, her eyes lit up. My lord, you're here to save me, right? Quickly kill this bitch, Yun Jingrong. Avenge me. It hurts so much. My lord, please save me. Shinsun came to my side and looked coldly at Wan Qing. You harmed Jing'er, you deserve this. Why would I save you? What I regret most in this life is knowing you. By indulging you, I allowed you to hurt Jing'er. You deserve to die. Wan Qing was in disbelief. She gave a sharp scream, suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood, fell to the ground with a thud, and literally died of anger. I looked at Shinsun in surprise. The Marquis's methods toward his beloved were impressive. Shinsun looked down. His eyes filled with endless tenderness. Jing'er, your revenge is complete. I will marry you as my wife again. I have already prepared the betrothal gifts. This time I will never leave you again. Let's hold our wedding ceremony, alright? Shinsun, what madness has taken you? We have nothing to do with each other anymore. I turned and left the prison. Shinsun followed me out. His eyes were full of sorrow. Jing'er, I truly know I was wrong. I didn't want to be entangled with him in public. I was also curious as to why he suddenly changed his mind. In the end, with a curious heart, I went with him to a tea house. In the private room were me, Shinsun, and my maid, Pizzi. It was impossible for me to be alone with Shinsun. Shinsun suddenly knelt before me, his eyes red. Jing'er, I wronged you in the past. I don't dare to beg for your forgiveness. I only hope you can give me a chance to make it up to you. This time, I will definitely treat you well. I won't let you suffer any more grievances. My heart remained unmoved. I found it laughable. Shinsun, you should save your sincerity for Wan Qing. I don't want it. Shinsun panicked and quickly explained. Wan Qing was the late emperor's person. The late emperor wanted to take back my military power. When I first won that victory, he began to set his trap. Unfortunately, I didn't discover Wan Qing's identity in time, which harmed you. This was all the late emperor's fault. Jing'er, I beg you to forgive me. Later, I realized that the one I truly love is you. When I discovered Wan Qing's true face, I didn't touch her, because I wanted to hand her over to you, for you to deal with her. After I knew the truth about her, I never touched her again. Jing'er, please forgive me, alright? You can hit me or scold me. Just don't ignore me. I listened to every word. Suddenly, it all made sense. No wonder the late emperor favored Wan Qing so much. She was his person. After hearing the gossip, I patted my sleeves and stood up. I've heard enough. What's in the past is in the past. From now on, we are strangers. I hope you won't come looking for me again. And don't disturb my peaceful life. I don't love you. I don't love you at all. In fact, seeing you makes me lose my appetite. Belated affection is worth less than grass. Those hurtful words you once said. And the things you did to harm me. Can't be cancelled out. By a simple I'm sorry. I won't accept it. Shinsun's face was full of pain. Tears flowed as he pleaded bitterly. Jeaner, I truly know I was wrong. Please don't leave me. I remained unmoved, and coldly turned to leave the tea house. I looked at the lively scene outside. And slowly exhaled a breath of stale air. It was over. Everything was finally over. I was 16 when I married Shinsun. And now I'm almost 18. In those short 2 years. Too many things had happened. I stayed at home for a few days. During this time, Shinsun sent many things over, trying to make peace. And begging for my forgiveness. I found it annoying. So I asked Gu Minghuan to intervene. As expected, he stopped. I went to Daxiangguo Temple to pray. This time, I brought enough guards. I saw Gu Minghuan in the abbot's meditation room. The abbot turned and left, leaving the room to us. Surprise flashed in my eyes. I bowed. This subject greets the emperor. Thank you, your majesty, for backing me up back then and giving me the chance for revenge. I never had the chance to thank you in person. I didn't expect to see you here. Gu Minghuan helped me up with both hands. I actually came here specifically to see you, Miss Yun. I have a request. I didn't know what an emperor could possibly ask of me. Please speak, your majesty. I owe you my life. I will do whatever it takes. No need for such talk. He was silent for a long time before he slowly spoke. The officials are pressuring me to take an empress. After thinking it over, I found that only Miss Yun is the most suitable candidate. Your majesty, Miss Yun. Please hear me out first. I grew up witnessing the schemes and intrigues. In the inner palace, I vowed back then to marry only one wife in this life. And never take concubines. Miss Yun, I am here to seek your opinion. It's fine if you don't agree. I will not hold it against you. I stared blankly into his eyes. I saw my own reflection in them. His gaze was gentle. I saw loneliness in his eyes. Solitude, and even sorrow. For some reason, I found myself unable to refuse him. He was a sincere person. And as the supreme emperor, to go to this extent was already very difficult. The meditation room was quiet. I pursed my lips. And reminded him, Your Majesty. I had been married once before. Gu Minghuan smiled and shook his head. It doesn't matter. Miss Yun is worthy of the best person in this world. We are a match. I couldn't help but smile. With those words, he not only praised me, but also himself. I eventually nodded in agreement. A smile bloomed on Gu Minghuan's cool face. His aura turning warm and gentle. In half a year, I will have 10 miles of red makeup. To grandly marry you as my empress. Seeing his smile, ripples formed in the depths of my heart. It was a feeling I had never experienced before. The corners of my mouth also turned up. When I walked out of the room, I felt a bit lightheaded. I accidentally twisted my ankle. And my body fell forward. The next instant, I fell into an embrace scented with osmanthus. Cool and elegant like jade, I could hear my own heartbeat. Thump, thump. Gu Minghuan held my waist with both hands. He released me once I was steady. He was very close to me. My face heated up. I took a few steps back. Thank you, Your Majesty. Gu Minghuan's gaze was deep, gentle and powerful. I went home, and told my father and mother about it. My father laughed loudly, without a hint of surprise on his face. The emperor truly has vision. He knows the worth of my precious daughter. The emperor personally sought your opinion. Without forcing you. He is a good man. But I still can't bear to let my child go. Once you enter the palace, I won't be able to see you every day. As my mother spoke, tears began to flow uncontrollably. My eyes also reddened as I hugged her. Seeing us like this, my father comforted us. Don't be sad. We can go into the palace to visit our daughter in the future. Half an hour later, the imperial decree arrived at our home. The emperor officially titled me as empress, with the wedding to be held in half a year. Once the decree was issued, the whole city was shocked. Hasn't Miss Yun been married before? She was divorced. How can she still marry the emperor and become empress? What kind of luck did she stumble into? To catch the emperor's eye? I listened to Pizzi tell me about the excitement outside. And couldn't help but smile. Yes. What kind of luck did I have? To meet someone as noble and upright as the emperor? I heard that the officials were petitioning every day, pressuring Gu Minghuan to retract the decree. Then Gu Minghuan punished those officials until they were exhausted. After that, no more officials dared to petition. He is the monarch. I don't dare to expect us to be deeply in love. It's enough if we are a couple that respects each other. My brother finally returned. He was travel-worn and covered in the dust of the road. Upon learning I was to marry Gu Minghuan, my brother patted my shoulder with relief. The emperor is a good man. Why did it take you so long to return? My brother sighed. I went to Jiangnan for disaster relief. At the time, the late emperor still held the reins of power and the relief funds were delayed indefinitely. I was almost trapped there. I didn't tell you all because I didn't want you to worry. I was working tirelessly, yet the court was holding me back. Later, the new emperor ascended the throne, issued a new batch of relief funds, and arranged for reliable people. Only then was I able to resolve everything. My heart felt warm. Once again, I felt it was good the late emperor had died. Gu Minghuan truly is a very good person. After that, I didn't go out anymore. As the wedding date drew closer, I couldn't help but feel nervous. During those days, Gu Minghuan sent me many novel things to eat, play with, and look at. He sent them all. He sent them openly. The other noble ladies were all dying of envy. On the day of the Qiqia festival, Gu Minghuan sent someone with a red fox mask inviting me to go out with him that evening. I agreed with a smile. Night fell quietly, and the capital was filled with joy. Gu Minghuan came to my home in plain clothes. He was also holding a black fox mask. My brother approached Gu Minghuan and friendly put an arm around his shoulder. Your Majesty, I only have this one sister. You must protect her well, or else I'll stop working for you. Gu Minghuan nodded solemnly and turned to look at me. His gaze cool and elegant like jade. My face heated up slightly, and I hurriedly looked away. Gu Minghuan asked me to put on the mask. With our masks on, we blended into the festive crowd. He also put on a mask. He came to my side. I immediately became nervous. Today, I am not the emperor. I want to spend the Qiqia festival with you. You don't need to be formal. Just call me Huan. His voice was as cool and pleasant as his person. I found my heart beating like a drum. He held my hand and we quietly left my home. With masks on our faces. No one knew who we were. The streets were bustling, filled with pair after pair of lovers, so our behavior didn't seem out of place. The crowd surged. I walked through the crowd with him, hand in hand, fearing I might be bumped into. He moved to put his arm around my shoulder. It felt as if I were nestled in his arms. I caught the faint scent of osmanthus from him. My tongue felt tied. As Gu Minghuan protected me closely, he reminded me. Call me Huan. My face flushed slightly. I said nervously. Huan. The next moment, I heard his laughter. I couldn't help but look up at him. But we were both wearing masks, so I couldn't see his expression. I heard him say, from childhood to now. This is the first time I've spent a festival like this. Before, I was alone. No one would accompany me through the holidays, while other households were lively. I could only stay at home by myself. In my mind, the image of him hiding at home alone surfaced, not daring to go out, a lonely and pitiful figure. I couldn't help but comfort him. Huan, I will accompany you for every festival in the future. I won't let you be lonely anymore. Gu Minghuan nodded with a smile. I felt the hand on my shoulder tighten slightly. He took me to eat many delicacies and see many exciting things. He took me to the highest pavilion in the capital to admire the lively and beautiful scenery. He personally escorted me home. At the door, we encountered an uninvited guest. Shensun's aura was gloomy, as if he had been waiting here for a long time. When he saw me, he straightened up instantly. You are Jiner, right? I didn't say a word to avoid too many people seeing what was happening here. I pulled Gu Minghuan into the house. I didn't stop Shensun, so he followed us in too. Shensun shouted. You have charmed His Majesty. Jiner and I were in love. Why must you tear us apart? Jiner, I really know I was wrong. I will definitely treat you well in the future. Please don't leave me, okay? I've already left Wanqing for you to deal with. I have reflected for a long time lately. I know I spoke too harshly to you before, and did many things to hurt you. But I can make it up to you. Hit me or scold me, it's fine. I will never fight back. Gu Minghuan kicked Shensun hard. Shensun was in pain but didn't dare to dodge. Gu Minghuan kicked him again and again. Shensun. It's already too late for you to say this now. In the end, Shensun was taken away by Gu Minghuan's guards to be flogged 50 times. I took off the mask from my face. Your Majesty, I have no involvement with him. Do you believe me? Gu Minghuan also took off his mask. He looked down at me. His gaze gentle. I believe you. Hearing those 3 words, I felt an instant sense of peace. I didn't want him to misunderstand me. Gu Minghuan's eyes were tender. He raised his hand to tidy my hair. It's late. Go back and sleep. My face was flushed. I turned and walked a few steps, then looked back to find him still standing there watching me. Seeing me turn back, he waved at me, signaling me to hurry back inside. I hurriedly ran off. That night, as I lay on my bed, I was too excited to sleep. My palms seemed to still carry Gu Minghuan's scent. I knew I was sick, with lovesickness. But he is the monarch. I tried my best to keep myself calm. No matter what, I had to protect myself. As the wedding date approached, I didn't go out anymore. Ladies from various manors sent many invitations, asking me to attend flower viewing banquets. I declined them all one by one. I received a wedding gift, sent by Song Yusin, along with a letter. She said she and Princeton were unable to return to the capital and she regretted not being able to watch me marry in such glory. I looked at the gifts she sent. Several sets of head ornaments, several bolts of cloud brocade, and all sorts of precious items. My eyes felt slightly warm. We had fought for over a decade. And yet we were also the ones who knew each other best. On the night before the wedding, my mother pulled me into the room and mysteriously pulled out an illustrated manual. Jinger, you must take a good look at this manual. I'll explain it to you once more. It will come in handy tomorrow night. I opened the manual curiously. Seeing the images inside, my face flushed instantly. With a thump, I tossed the manual aside. Mother, how could you? My mother picked up the manual and tossed it back into my lap. What are you shy about? This is something every woman has to go through. I explained it to you during your last wedding. But Shinsun didn't cherish you. But it's fine. I'll give you a proper explanation again. Blushing, I listened to my mother explain the entire process, without missing a single detail. The next day was the grand imperial wedding, a magnificent ceremony. The capital was full of excitement. Red silk was laid from my home all the way to the palace, and red lanterns hung along the way. Gu Minghuan and I accepted the worship of the officials. After a busy day, we finally entered the bridal chamber. Red candles burned in Fingy Palace. Inside the magnificent hall, there were only Gu Minghuan and I. The candlelight reflected on Gu Minghuan's handsome face. I shyly lowered my head. He sat by my side, removed the phoenix robe from my body, and took off the phoenix crown. My dark hair cascaded down. I looked up at him blankly. His gaze was burning and gentle. His fingertips were hot. When he accidentally brushed against my cheek, my face instantly radiated heat. It's time to sleep. The red curtains fell, and the candlelight flickered gracefully. As the horizon began to turn white, he finally let me go. I fell into a deep sleep. When I woke up, I found him sitting by my side. I scrambled up in a daze. Your Majesty, don't you need to attend the morning court? Gu Minghuan naturally pulled me into his arms. For the imperial wedding, the court is suspended for 10 days. Are you hungry? I'll help you dress and we'll have lunch. Lunch? My face turned bright red as I realized it was noon. I couldn't help but reach out to swat him. He grabbed my hand. I buried my head in his chest, not daring to look up. His cool voice sounded in my ear. Jinger was quite bold last night. Why so shy today? I buried my head even deeper. Gu Minghuan stroked my hair. In private from now on, Jinger can just call me A Huan. We will be just an ordinary couple, without so much etiquette. My heart was filled with joy, and I nodded. He assisted me in dressing. After a long time of dawdling, we finally went out to eat. I couldn't help but glare at him. Did you do that on purpose? Gu Minghuan blinked at me innocently. Jinger is so beautiful and gentle. I couldn't control myself. I never expected that someone who appeared as cool as jade would be such a passionate person in private. But I still asked a question. If one day my beauty fades, will you still treat me as you do now? Gu Minghuan's expression turned serious, and his gaze fell on my face. In this life, I will never fail Jinger. I met his gaze, and ripples of emotion rose in my heart, my eyes moistening. I didn't know the future, or what we would become. In any case, it was enough that he was good to me now. If things really changed one day, I would leave in time. The late emperor's empress had passed away long ago. Some of his concubines followed him in death. Some went to temples, and the rest hid in the deep palace, never coming out. So there was no Empress Dowager in the palace. The only elder was the Grand Empress Dowager. But I didn't want to go and pay my respects to her. Gu Minghuan readily agreed. In the palace, you may do whatever you wish. You don't need to regard the Grand Empress Dowager. I know she was unkind to you in the past. You can seek your revenge whenever you like. I did harbor resentment toward the Grand Empress Dowager. I hated how she once favored Wan Qing and deliberately mistreated me. I couldn't help but ask. She is your elder. Aren't you afraid I'll be disrespectful to her? Gu Minghuan kissed my forehead and pulled me into his arms. She once mistreated me as well. If you are disrespectful to her, it counts as avenging me too. When I was young and had conflicts with other princes, she would punish me without investigating the cause. I was always the one treated with coldness. I touched his face with heartache. I hadn't expected that he would have lived so poorly at times. A dignified prince, yet treated worse than some eunuchs and maids in the palace. It won't be like that anymore. My father, mother, and brother will also be good to you. Gu Minghuan didn't attend court for those 10 days, staying by my side every step of the way. While I read, he reviewed memorials by my side. When I went to the imperial garden to admire the flowers, he followed me. When I was hungry, he had food brought over, personally peeling shrimp for me. He was thoughtful and meticulous in every way, but every night, he seemed to become a different person. Like an eagle in the night, The news of the emperor and empress's affection was like a butterfly with wings, flying to every corner of the palace. And then out beyond the palace gates. Soon, the whole capital knew. I gradually became accustomed to palace life. With me as the only empress in the vast harem. Life was very comfortable. Some high officials petitioned together, asking Gu Minghuan to hold a selection to fill the harem. All of them were rejected by him. He punished those officials severely. And they finally quieted down. When Gu Minghuan told me about these things, the resentment in his voice was unmistakable. They are too much. Staring at my harem every single day. I should give them more work to do. I couldn't help but smile. I moved closer to Gu Minghuan and wrapped my arms around his waist. Huan, thank you. Gu Minghuan's gaze darkened. He picked me up and walked toward the bed. The hall was filled with soft light. Days passed by. I went before the Grand Empress Dowager. She was dressed plainly and looked haggard, no longer possessing her former elegance or her high and mighty appearance. When she saw me, she still didn't have a pleasant expression. What are you here for? You are not welcome here. I looked at her with a flat gaze. You failed to distinguish right from wrong, hurting Huan and once trying to punish me. But considering you are his grandmother, I will not take your life. Spend the rest of your life eating simply and praying to Buddha. As empress, you should be selecting concubines for the emperor to fill the harem. But you are jealous to this extent, leaving the emperor with only you. You are truly unworthy of being empress. You were married once before. Becoming empress with such a ruined reputation. The emperor is simply being reckless. How could a woman like you be worthy of the crown? That is not for you to worry about. You should instead consider how you will endure these days in the palace hereafter. I wouldn't take her life, but there would be certain standards for her living conditions. Gu Minghuan walked in slowly and sat by my side, looking coldly at the Grand Empress Dowager. My harem is none of your business. The Grand Empress Dowager was furious. Emperor, how can you be so reckless? You should be expanding the royal lineage. You can't have only one empress in this life. I may have been unkind to you before, but I am still your grandmother. Do you dare to defy me? Whether I have defied you or not. Haven't you felt it for the past few days? From now on, just stay right here. The Grand Empress Dowager's face turned red with anger, her whole body trembling. You unfilial grandson. For a woman, you would actually imprison me. You all deserve to die. Gu Minghuan and I walked out of her palace hand in hand. I ignored her screaming. She once wanted to have me flogged. Considering her old age, I didn't have her flogged, but I made her kneel. Day after day. She became more haggard with each passing day, nestled in Gu Minghuan's arms. I finally couldn't help but ask the question in my heart. Huan, why are you so good to me? When I was bullied by other princes as a child, you saw it and stopped them. You even gave me a bottle of medicine. That winter was the warmest winter I ever had. I looked confused. Did that happen? Gu Minghuan's slender hand scratched the tip of my nose. You don't remember? I'll have to punish you later. My face turned red. You were the daughter of the Grand Tutor. I was a lowly prince. Every time I saw you at a palace banquet, I didn't dare to approach, fearing I would bring a bad influence upon you. So he had liked me from such an early age. I shook my head. You aren't lowly. Huan, I won't allow you to say that about yourself. Gu Minghuan placed a kiss on my lips. Those things are in the past. I wanted to marry you as my wife, but I was planning my moves then, and didn't dare to act rashly. The late emperor was suspicious of your father. I didn't dare to ask for your hand, fearing the late emperor would frame your father for conspiring with a prince. Because if the things I was doing were ever discovered, it would have brought total destruction. When I learned the late emperor had arranged a marriage for you and Shinsun, I couldn't sleep at all. I hated myself for not finishing everything sooner. I watched you marry him. Watched you become his wife. Watched you be neglected and bullied by him. I even had the urge to kill him. The struggle for the throne was a matter of life and death. I couldn't imagine how much hardship he had endured, or how many injuries he had suffered, always pretending since childhood. He must have been so tired. I hugged his waist tightly. If I hadn't divorced Shinsun, and if he had treated you well, I would have hidden my feelings forever. But if he didn't treat you well, I would have made sure you were separated. Fortunately, he didn't cherish you, which gave me the chance to marry you. I sabotaged him many times in secret. It was enough to give him a hard time. Listening to Huan's jealous words, a bright smile lit up my face. I proactively gave him a sweet kiss. I love you too. The first time I saw you at Daxiangwo Temple, I fell in love with you at first sight. It's just that I didn't know it then. Your expression was so cold at the time. You put on quite an act. I didn't dare to approach you rashly, fearing I would be rude, or scare you away. When I went to see my mother, and saw you being assassinated, my heart almost stopped beating. Thankfully, I arrived in time. It turned out Huan had long been deeply in love with me. I had thought before that. If you didn't like me, we would just be a couple that respects each other. Gu Minghuan held me. Only I know how good Jinger is. Huan and I had a deep conversation that night, completely opening our hearts to each other. Our relationship became even closer. Shunsun never married again. Whenever he saw me, he would look pained and sad. Later, he went to the border and never returned to the capital. I also had no interest in his affairs. Every day, I played with cats and admired flowers, and my father, mother, and brother visited me occasionally. Years passed. I gave birth to a son and a daughter. My son was titled as the Crown Prince, and my daughter was titled Princess Luan. The feelings between Huan and me didn't fade. Instead, they grew even stronger. I have seen the most beautiful scenery in this world. But what I like most are Huan's eyes. His eyes are filled with a galaxy of stars, containing only me. For the rest of my life, the wind is sweet. The rain is sweet. And the snow is sweet. Everything in my eyes is sweet. With him by my side, I have nothing to fear.